When I was a kid, I really liked the planet. I was all into recycling. I was into gardening. Probably shouldn't be admitting this in public. I watched a lot of Captain Planet. And so, needless to say, kind of going back to, you know, that video we just watched of the guy dancing alone there for a while? I kind of felt like that as a kid in a lot of ways. Needless to say, here we are in the early 21st century. I'm really excited because it's not like that anymore. I think, without question, if it's not already mainstream, green is going mainstream. We see it everywhere, right? We see it with more people talking to their representatives saying, hey, we want more walkable cities, we want more bicycle paths, we want to be able to get around without a car. We see more LEED certified buildings, more public recycling programs, eco-fashion, permaculture guilds all over the place. And what is really exciting about this is that it gives us a model for what initially started in the late 19th, early 20th century and didn't really get started until after World War II. Really within the past 10 years has begun to explode. And there are a lot of reasons for that. Arguably it's marketing, some of it's social media, but nevertheless there's been an upward surge in enthusiasm and adaptation of the green movement. So the question is, could the orange movement, could the orange color do the same? And if so, what would that look like? So let's talk about green a little bit. Arguably green is about taking care of the planet, making sure that we're good stewards of the environment. Could orange be about the self? And by that I don't mean just you, I mean all types of people, everyone living on the planet. Just as green focuses on creating zero waste systems and zero waste of resources, could orange be about the zero waste of our potential? And likewise, just as the green movement focuses on the toxicity of so many of the products and so many of the processes that we have in our agriculture, to the way where even the herbicides and pesticides that go into our cotton that we wear every day, could orange be about personal growth? The celebration, as Becky mentioned earlier, of lifelong learning and the pursuit of individual freedom as we create in our own lives a capacity to thrive so we can take on the larger issues and the things that we care about. In other words, think of it this way. As the green movement has thought about the interdependency and the complexity and the multiple variables that go into maintaining a healthy ecosystem, could the orange movement be about doing the same, but for your system? Talking about your own personal environment, the own variables in your own life, from your sense of purpose to your emotional well-being, your ongoing engagement of intellectual dialogue, of your physical health, your social well-being, your environmental well-being, and your financial vitality. Looking at one area in particular is this area of how debt holds us back. So if you look in the green movement, there's this concept of what's known as biocapacity. And what they're saying there is that despite the fact that we've got over 3 billion people living on less than $2 a day in this world, we have a growing population, and over time, we've got limited water, limited land, limited resources that we're simply not going to be able to accommodate all of these people. And so eventually, we're going to go into this threshold where we're simply not going to have the resources to maintain the population. That's a big concern within the green community. Could the orange community be about, well, just as we're tapping out the world's resources, are we tapping out ourselves? In a variety of different areas, just focusing on finances in particular. See, back in '97, there was only $92 billion worth of a student loan debt in this country. Now it's just recently reported that it's under $1 trillion. And just likewise, in '97, we had just over $500 million in credit card debt, and we're also now approaching $1 trillion as well. And you see the interconnectedness of this, right? Because if you can't maintain your own personal financial well-being, then you're not apt to be an effective agent for social change, to be involved with the green movement, which is really important to emphasize that I'm not trying to contrast the potential for green, or the potential for orange, excuse me, and what is already green. But to quote Jim Collins, the author, who once said, "We need to enter into a new era where we relinquish the tyranny of or and embrace the genius of and." It doesn't have to be green or orange, it can be both, to yet again form a symbiotic relationship. Now this is a brief summary of what the green movement is about, and I mention it because I'll just preface, I don't claim to know anything. But I do have questions, and I think those questions are what can act as catalysts to lead towards movements that really make sense for both the planet and also the people. So just as we say green is essentially, among asking other questions, what's the most efficient process, orange could just ask simply, what is value? What is value to you? What are the things that are valuable to you that allow you to thrive, to be happy, to be free, and to be fulfilled in life? And then from there, the possibilities are endless. And what I'm really excited about is how if a lot of us who are passionate about activism or passionate about social entrepreneurship, as we talked about earlier, the question is, what if then holism became mainstream? And all of these different colors represented different aspects of vitality on the planet for both people and the planet itself. And then eventually we could then have a new language to not only talk about issues within the public sphere, but also vehicles to combine lots of different ideas and see to it that they are equally as successful just as the green movement has been. So like that person we saw earlier who was dancing out in the field, I say, hey, let's start dancing. Orange is one of my favorite colors, not just because it represents one of my favorite universities, of course, but also because throughout the ages and throughout cultures, it's represented vitality. And we have an opportunity, all of us, to right here in Knoxville, to define what could orange be about and how can it essentially complement the green movement to not only create sustainability on the planet, but also in our own lives. So, thank you.